As we have just seen, the acquisition or the reinforcement of certain skills, either in the cognitive or in the social domain, is an important element in the management of ADHD. But before taking a look at how we can intervene or acquire these skills specifically in each of these domains, let's briefly take a look at the techniques that are typically employed to acquire new skills or to generalize the skills in the daily life environment. So let's start with the acquisition of new skills. The first element that is, of course, very important is practice. So we can practice the skills over and over to improve it. This can work for relatively simple skills, for example, through the use of cognitive training programs. But often training alone is not sufficient to acquire a new skill, because training will not teach us how to perform the skill, what are the relevant strategies. So in that regard, we will need to use complementary approaches. One of the first approaches that we can use is breaking a task down into several subunits, because mastering each of these units will be easier. Another approach that we can use is modeling. It means that another person can show us the appropriate behavior and we can try to copy it and to do the same as the other person. And finally, another relevant approach is the use of the video feedback. In the video feedback, the person watches himself or herself performing an action, and in that way, he or she can modify his behavior accordingly. So now let's take a look at the strategies that we can use to generalize a new behavior to the context of daily life. So one of the first elements that we will need to do is to practice a new skill in different contexts. So for example, if we learn a skill in the context of a therapy, then it will be very important to have homeworks, for example, to practice these skills in different contexts. For children, it can be also very important to add the parent in the intervention. So for example, to explain how we are going to work on specific skills so that the parents can also encourage their child to use this skill at home. And finally, a last element that is extremely important is the question of motivation. Of course, we need to be motivated to use the skills in different contexts. So that's where the idea of positive reinforcement will take place. If a behavior is positively reinforced, then it will increase the probability that this behavior will occur later on. So in the context of the behavioral intervention, the use of positive reinforcements will be really emphasized. So to conclude, in this sequence, we have really covered the main approaches that we can use to acquire a new skill or to generalize skills in the context of daily life. And we will see in the next sequences how we can use those techniques to train and to teach specific skills.